Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Trevor's Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we're going to go over our top 10 production value games. So, games that. So, there's a little disclaimer on this one. Prices in board games obviously fluctuate a lot. But as I think we're doing kind of the best value for kind of the production that you get in a game. And these are games that I think as of right now, as of filming this, kind of around the time this will be going up within like a week or so, a couple weeks. We think these are decently priced games, but things could change in the future. So if
Yes.
you're watching this 10 years later, my guess is it could be very different. Uh, so that is a note. But yeah, we're going for I don't know, production value games. This is supposedly what the Dice Tower Awards. I think this is what the name they give it, production value. And I don't know that they really look at the value because usually they pick the $150 to $200 deluxe game. But
Yeah, I believe everything here is currently available somewhere under $50,
ooh,
which
let us know in the
50,
comments below if you have any games that were under that $50 $40 range that you think, oh my gosh, the production in this game is top notch.
yes. Yeah, I feel like since we've started years ago in this, I thought maybe like 40 might be the average, but I feel like the average is at least $50 nowadays when you're looking at especially a newer game. It's gonna get up there.
Yeah, it's prices have unfortunately just kind of continued to rise even for some of these games. A lot of these are probably going to be not brand new games.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. So we'll go kind of highest price to lowest here. And the first entry into this list, so not saying our favorite or least favorite, just highest to lowest, would be Dinosaur World. And this one we saw some prices from anywhere from like 35 to 45 bucks, which for what is packed into this game, as you can see, kind of what you're getting in that box. Even if the pieces aren't nice, that's a lot of pieces, a lot of cardboard pieces, and the cardboard is nice quality. We have an upgraded version of this. We backed it on Kickstarter, so our dinosaurs have screen printing, kind of pictures on the side of the meeples there, but I think these are just as nice quality, and if they're anything like other games of theirs that have dinosaur meeples, which we also own, those meeples are fine even without screen printing. Like I
mhm.
said, cardboard's good quality, little meeples, fantastic artwork, and these amber dice here, which are just fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like this one has not gotten the love that Dinosaur Island. If you've played that one, it's kind of the game that came after that. It hasn't gotten the same amount of love. It is, as you can see here, with all these great components and stuff you're getting, it is a lot in that box. If you have played the original or the other one, Dinosaur Island. And there's a little bit more going on in this one, so it is. I would say this one's a little bit heavier, maybe a little bit longer than the other game. So if you tend not to like games with a good amount going on, I think we'll have some other games later in this list that might be a little bit better for you. But if you like dinosaur themed games and yeah, this one looks good to you. I feel like this one I've seen, yeah, definitely for that 35 to 45 range. Sometimes even on sale because I don't,
Yeah,
like I said, I don't know that I've heard it. It's not talked about that much. I don't know that people love it quite as much as when the original one. Although I don't really hear people talking about that one very
yeah.
much anymore either. So I don't know. It's definitely one to check out. I think though, especially if you like that theme.
Yeah, for sure. And heavier games seem to be more expensive because they do just
Mhm.
seem to be bigger. Even ones that are mainly cardboard based somehow still seem to be like 60 or 70 bucks a lot of times I'll see. So if you're looking for heavier games that are cheaper, this is a great one.
Yes.
Next up, is this going to be another heavy game? Yeah, it is a bit of a heavy game, and that is Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. And here again, you can see kind of a bunch of the components on the ground here, or not the ground, on the tabletop here. And this one is kind of a dungeon crawler game. You take on a character and you put them into a mission in a wonderful spiral book that unfolds and pretty much is the map that you are moving across. And it has all the icons on there that aid you in setup. So it's a real easy game to play instead of searching for tile 23C or this and that and building a map. This makes it so easy. It's got a great introduction scenario, but a lot of variability with the different characters, a ton of cards that you upgrade throughout the game, a ton of baddies with their individual decks to attack you. They are standees for the baddies, but you do have some really nice miniatures for your main characters and a lot of cool things to unlock. A lot of content here.
Yeah, definitely a ton of content that you're getting, kind of like the last one we just looked at. And yeah, maybe to upgrade it a little bit if they had, if we had gotten minis for those baddies, that would probably bring it up just another notch. But still, those look good. You can see the artwork there is really nice on those
Yeah,
as well. So they're not like the acrylic ones.
yeah,
So yeah, for cardboard, those look pretty solid, I think, with some pretty great artwork. And then yeah, just the whole production. That Spiral Notebook is great. I haven't actually played the original Gloomhaven, but yeah, from playing this one, I would assume if you had to like set up all this stuff typically, this makes it much easier to get to the table. But this one's still, I think a little. I wouldn't say it's probably. I don't know. What would you say? Is it as heavy as Dinosaur World?
I mean, I think there's a lot more. I think gameplay wise, it's not as heavy, like the decisions you're
Hmm.
making, but kind of overall strategy of kind of how you're going to build your character and what cards you want to bring into battle.
Hmm.
I played this like two-handed, so I played as two characters, and each one has like 16 cards, and you choose 10 of them to bring into battle. So it was just a huge amount of time spent on even deciding what cards to put in to there. So it has its depth in different places, I think.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
I think
around
the big.
$40. Is that at Target even? I don't know what
Um,
it's. I know it was at Target.
I
I
did
guess I don't
not
know what the
check the
pricing is
target
there.
price. I think this is Amazon or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure the target price. But yeah, I think the big thing that makes this seem like such a good deal is because Gloomhaven and Frosthaven are hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and this
Yes.
gives you that experience for just a percentage of that. So,
Yep.
yeah. Next up, also, $40 here. I feel like I've seen it lower at times, but it was like $39, I think, was at a few different stores here. One of my all-time favorite games and favorite productions in a game. Whether it's a deal or not, this would be near the top of my list. With a beautiful, colorful grid board of spaces, water spaces, field spaces, mountains. The bunnies are so adorable. And I don't like the choice of a black, not being racist here, just the black color for a character. It's hard to see those bunnies, kind of, even on a colorful background. I don't know why. It's so hard to see black colored components. I mean, I get if you have them on like a black playmat or something, that makes sense. But even on this colorful board, it's hard to see. So that's one knock on the production. But that's pretty much the only knock because everything here is beautiful. The cards, some of my favorite artwork in any game.
Yeah. It's a very solid production all around. The cards are some fantastic art. Pretty great. It makes me think of like Sushi Go Party, which I also think the card art in that one's pretty solid. Uh, these are just solid cards, and then yeah, the bunnies are really cute. They're a nice little pop on the table or on the board itself. Yeah, I would agree. Black bunnies are not my favorite color for sure. Just, I think a bigger thing for me, unlike you said, we have this black carpet on the top of our table that we play on, and yeah, any black pieces can be very difficult to see on it. So it's
Yes.
probably a personal thing because I suppose some people would say, if it was, we're lucky enough to not have color blindness, but if they were like green bunnies or something, although I don't think that would work either because the board has a lot of green on it, so that wouldn't be a very good idea either. But if they did, and they had them with the red, I don't know how easy that would be to see. So maybe
Yeah.
the black is very, maybe that's a good way to stop from color blindness or help with color blindness. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Um, but that's the only thing I can think of as to why you do that versus, especially using the purple in the expansion. Don't
Oh,
know why you wouldn't have just had that here originally, but I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, and the expansion as well. Go get the expansion once you got the base game. I think that's another 20 to 30 bucks. So maybe not as good of a deal since it is just an expansion, but
Yeah.
steps it up even better. Next up, I think we're getting down into some of the 30s here,
Oh boy.
and that is Destinies. Yeah, this is a kind of a story driven. You have to use an app along with this one.
Hmm.
You have QR codes, as you can see on some of these cards that you're scanning, and it takes you to a screen, and you make some choices, and it gives you some text and results of different dice checks that you are making. But overall, the production on this one, as you can see here, amazing dice and amazing miniatures. Some of the larger ones, especially. They do have some pretty small miniatures because I think it's kind of trying to be to scale. Like this is a giant monster here and regular sized humans. So I think together it works really well. But if you do just have the humans out there, I think we mixed them up throughout the gameplay
Yes.
where we just grab the wrong one and just keep going. You're like, wait, this isn't me. I don't have a hammer.
Why
This
is
is
the blacksmith over in the forest?
So that is one issue, but I think they look really cool, especially if you get up close and get to see them. And just a ton of components with this one. It's kind of scenario based, so you have a bunch of different options for map tiles and cards and items.
Yeah, definitely a great production, and yeah, I think the only if you're a person that does play your games a lot of times, they are it's kind of like a scenario based thing. So I don't remember how many there are in here, but that'd be the only thing if you really like to get a lot of plays in. You can play it again, but I think it will be a pretty similar story each time. So uh, you just have to know that. But otherwise, yeah, I think the production of this one's really great. That's the only thing too that I would say maybe if those could be a little bit larger, but I think there's a lot of them in there. You can kind of
Yeah,
see it there where you got all those different ones. Uh, so they probably wouldn't fit in the box otherwise if you did have them all like larger. But yeah, this one I think is maybe it has. Maybe I haven't seen it recently, but I guess I haven't really been looking for it since we own it. But I think this one I've seen it in the past, kind of be on sale and stuff. So this one might be one that you just kind of wait around and see if it goes into the 20s or something, high
yeah,
20s. I feel like that's what I got ours for, but it's been a long time ago, so maybe it was in the low 30s at that point. I don't remember what the pricing was because this was a few years ago. So this is a little bit older game. Not old by any means, but
yeah.
it's got a lot of expansion content as well, and I feel like I've picked up a couple of those on Game Nerds for pretty cheap too. So on their deal of the day, I think. So, but otherwise, yeah, the production of this one's really great. Outside of those minis, maybe being
A
little small, but you get
little
a lot
too
of them.
mini.
I suppose if you painted them, we don't paint our stuff, unfortunately, so that is why it was hard to tell. But if you painted them, you probably
Yeah.
could easily tell them apart.
We gotta try painting something sometime. So if you really want to see us attempt and likely fail at painting something, send us a game we don't care about, and we'll try painting that.
Let us know what the cheap paints are, and it's the most forgiving to starting painters.
Next up, we have the epitome, the epitome of production value. I think this was nominated when Dice Tower when we first made predictions for that award, and I think they switched it. They made a deal of switching it to production value, or at least put emphasis on the value when they presented it. And I think this went up against like Dwellings of Eldervale, and that's got a fantastic production. But I'm like, this Honey Buzz kind of just stays up with Dwellings of Eldervale, and it's extremely less expensive. Like that one can get into the hundreds, and this one, I think, pretty much since then has been around that $30 mark. It's been in the 30s, maybe could possibly get it, maybe in the 20s. I don't think I've seen it there, but anywhere in the 30s there for amazing B miniatures with these little slots in there, which is such a nice detail, amazing artwork throughout everything, whether it's cards or the board. These tiles, which are so satisfying to build a pattern out, and you can see kind of in the center of these tiles, these green ones, those are upgrades. Those are acrylic
Yep.
upgrades in the upgrade pack. I actually think it looks better with the regular just cardboard version because you don't have that green kind of sticking out. I don't feel like that matches very well with the rest of
Mhm.
it. So I think it's actually a better production in the non-deluxe version, which is what we're talking about here. And you got these gummy little pieces for the different types of honey, the unique custom, well, not maybe not custom, I forget it. They're probably matching shapes, but different colored for the pollen
I think so.
tokens, kind of that gem shape. If you played a lot of games, it's usually diamonds or rubies, but a ton of unique, awesome pieces.
Yeah, I think this is kind of, yeah, like you said, this is the one we've always kind of brought up when we talk about production value here, because we think this one's, yeah, a really solid production. Even the retail cardboard, I think it works really well because you still get those nice beeples, and yeah, just the way this kind of comes together, the production is amazing, and yeah, those different kind of gummy pieces as well. It's crazy to me that yeah, you can get this one right in the $30 range. At least currently. And yeah, I think this one is definitely worth it, especially if you tend to enjoy worker placement games and kind of enjoy the kind of pattern building in games, because that's what you'll be doing with those kind of pieces. You can see those are each like double hexagon pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and you're just putting them together in certain patterns. And once you create a kind of a cell in the middle, you will activate all of those little images around it. So you're kind of trying to build it up, but then depending on the what is it, nectar, whatever it is that goes in that
Yeah.
center that you'll collect later on, it has to match those reds and whites.
Yes.
So you kind of need to get that to match while also putting together kind of some actions you'd like to do together. It's really solid game on
Yeah.
top of being a great production.
Yes. Next up, we have got Red Rising. And this is one of the widest ranges here, which kind of when you look, you see it maybe for up to 30 bucks into the 30s, but you've said you've seen it uh, and I've seen it for like in the tens, like $10 even.
Yeah, Abby actually got her copy for $10 at Barnes and Noble. So, and I feel like this one is another one of those that I definitely see go on sale multiple times throughout the year. So I would just hold out and wait, and at some point you should be able to get it for under 20, at least from what I've seen. Uh, like I said, unless things change and all of a sudden there weren't all these copies out there anymore. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm just going to get Fantasy Realms." I think you get a lot way better production than Fantasy Realms. In my opinion, Fantasy Realms, the artwork is so so. And this one, I love the artwork, love the rest of the production. You get those nice gems, you get some plastic pieces of those cubes, those little rocket ships, and the card, just the way the cards are set up are really solid as well. They remind me, like the other ones we looked at earlier. Uh, as I think this one's a great production. It might it originally we have the like this collector's edition,
Yep.
and I think the retail version is almost just as good because almost all the upgrades in the collectors had their little issues that they had with them. Um, so unfortunately, but
Yes. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Added card trays, they tip over, added metal pieces, but you couldn't tell the colors apart as well there. They added gold foil to the cards, but you could kind of see a little dent on the back of it, so you knew someone, if you got it right at the right angle, you could kind of see, oh, they have a gold
that one
card.
wasn't as easy to tell. But
That wasn't, but it's just funny that almost every single thing. Oh, a custom insert. It's a complete mess when you open it back up. But it's still a great production either way. The
mhm,
art is a huge part of the game, and that's gonna be the same from either version. And totally
yeah,
recommend it. Great game, great production,
and to me, yeah, a
underrated.
lot of people say fantasy realms, fantasy realms, fantasy realms because I think that's like a 10-minute game. But to me, the couple times I've played it, I just feel like I don't get to do what I want to do. Whereas this one, Sometimes it does feel a little long. I will agree with that. Sometimes it can be, depending on how quickly people chase after ending the game. And sometimes I understand people have kind of the hand they want and,
Yeah.
would just like to end the game. I get that, but I think after we might have played it in the top probably 1 or 2% of people that have, played at least once. We've played this one probably like 30, 40 times. I think once you know kind of how these cards combo and stuff together, it's really, really fun and how they can interact with the different kind of end game trigger conditions.
Yeah.
So I would be willing to give it a chance if I was you, especially if you can get it for that $10 to $15. I think it's a great production. Probably won't be able to sell it afterwards if you don't like it because I think there are a lot of copies out there, but I think it's worth it.
Me too.
I think it's worth it at the 30, but I
Yeah.
mean, if you can get it for 10 to 15, I think that's an amazing deal.
Now that's a video we should make. How high will you pay to keep your favorite games? That's a
Well,
good
ours is signed by the author of the Red Rising books, so uh, ours is going to be a little bit different.
idea.
Now we got to get Jamie's signature on there.
Yes, collect them all. Next up, we have got Kingdomino Origins. So this is Kingdomino. I think it's a pretty popular game, and this is one of its sequels, which introduces a few extra variants and ways to play with it. Otherwise, it's a very approachable game. I would recommend it to anyone, even if you haven't played any board games in your life or have just played some of the ones that everyone knows, like Life or Monopoly. I would totally recommend Kingdomino, and you get a fantastic production with this one. You have beautiful artwork on these tiles. They're really thick, chunky tiles with a nice shine to them as well. And in this version of Kingdomino, this entry, you have a bunch of these printed wooden components to represent your resources or animals, and then these characters as well. And I think that just elevates this production. The original was great, but this one just elevates it to another level.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think you could look for the original one too. I think, yeah, between those, you could probably even get them for under $20 sometimes.
Yeah.
I think they sometimes will go a little bit lower than that. So the original is still pretty solid too, but yeah, these wooden pieces are probably some of my favorites in any game that I've ever seen personally. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if I'm just totally wrong and overselling these, but I think these are some of the greatest wooden components. I really wish they could be used in other games too, because I love Euro games, and it seems like those tend to use a lot of resources.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like, I mean, there's been some good ones, but nothing like this. Whoever put these together, I think, needs to work with some of those any Euro games that tend to use a lot of resources to try to come up with some more cool things like this because these look awesome.
Yeah.
And this is what brings it for me to that next level of being kind of this ultimate production. Because yeah, the tiles themselves are already great, kind of like the original King Domino. Those tiles are nice and thick and solid as well, and kind of the artwork on them is all good. This one has that same sort of thing, but then brings it up to that next level. Has a couple more modules you can play in it than the original. I don't know if you could trying to remember. I don't. Yeah, I think it comes with some extra tiles and stuff for the. I was wondering if you could implement any of those modules with the original, but I think it comes with kind of some extra components that you wouldn't have. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Great, great stuff.
if you see this for under 20, it's amazing.
Yeah. And next up, oh boy, now here's my baby here. Under Falling Skies. And let's note this is a solo game. So this is for one player to play by themselves. And in this one, you're fighting off invading aliens. And they're moving down this track, and you're rolling your dice and activating different rooms in your bunker to fight them off and advance your science to defeat them. But this one has always amazed me for its production value and just the value gameplay wise of how much is packed into this box. This is one of the most satisfying boxes to hold because it's like a Carcassonne sized box, not too big, but it is thick, it is stuffed to the brim, to the top, full. And I love everything that's in this. It has a bunch of different modules in it, each introducing different scenarios to play with, and all of it is just covered with great artwork. They have kind of a comic book type scenarios. They have a little sheet that has kind of a comic book look to it to introduce you to the story of it. And there's so much color in this game, whether it's your rooms down here, whether they're blue, orange, green, the dice. I really like the wooden dice. Some people say they're not very sci-fi. I think it actually works with the colors that they chose. And the alien ships and that excavator, everything here was just, they put a little bit of love on every single component in this game.
Yeah, I really like the look of this game as well. I've only had the chance to play this one once. I remember really enjoying it. I've got to try this one, get this one to the table again, uh, because I know you've seemed to really love it, and yeah, I remember enjoying that first play, and the production on this one is really great, and yeah, the different things you can do with it. So this one is very solid, especially at that price point.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a solo gamer. If you don't play games solo, then you know I guess if you really enjoy the thought of the theme and you're like, I'm willing to take a chance, try my hand at solo game, this one might be for you.
Yeah. Next up, we have Marvel United. And this is another one that we have seen pretty low, like down into the like $10 to $15 range at times. I think it's on Amazon, and it's this could account for either this base game or they have a ton of different sets out there with different characters from the Marvel Universe. Some of them are expansions where you'll need a base game, and some of them are can just be played by themselves. They count as a base game. But the miniatures in these games are amazing. They represent the Marvel characters in pretty close to the movies, and that's what I like them from. And I don't really care about what they look like in the comic books. I recognize the characters in the way that they present them in this game. I love those chibi style miniatures. The artwork on all the cards I think is really nice. It's a good balance between cool and cute. I think just is perfect, and a lot of cards in this game because I think you get like 9 or 10 characters to play with and 3 villains, and everybody comes with their own deck and sets of cards, ton of cardboard tokens, just a lot of really, really good stuff.
hmm Yeah, I really love the miniatures in this one, and yeah, this is one that I've definitely seen for under the 20 price range. And I can't remember what we didn't get ours for under like 10, did we?
I feel like
I
we got
feel
it like around 10.
Yeah, I'm like, was it like 12 or was it like 8? I feel like it was like within $2 of 10, but I don't remember which way. So, yeah, just keep an eye out. This one could go potentially really cheap. I don't remember. I could be remembering that wrong. Uh, but I know we got it pretty cheap because I was like, we had talked about it, wanted to pull the trigger on a Marvel game at some point, and
Yeah.
this one ended up being it. And yeah, as Pepper said, all that great stuff. The characters, if you like games like Unmatched and like the kind of difference between characters in those, I would say you don't quite get that in this. They are pretty similar from character to character, but they have just these slight tweaks that kind of differentiate them, which I find really enjoyable because then you don't have to, like, especially since it is a cooperative, family game, you don't have to explain to someone that maybe hasn't played as many games but wanted to be included, so you decided to play this cooperative one. Uh, they should have a pretty good idea of how it how it works. It doesn't get like too complex. It's like, oh well, for that character you have to do this specific thing or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, so yeah, I really like that in this game for what it is.
Yeah, they really made the right choice because everyone's gonna see this and be like, "Oh, Marvel, I've seen those movies. I'll pick this up." It's pretty cheap to make it actually a gameplay that they can digest. If they aren't very familiar with games, was the right choice. For sure.
Mhm.
And I think maybe the last one here. Yes. So this one I think has been consistently around $10, maybe even less, up to maybe $20. And this has been one of the biggest surprises for me personally, and I think you played it once and were pretty surprised with it as well.
Mhm.
Our mom saw this and saw it was looked pretty, I'm sure is what she thought, and she bought this one, and it's like, what is this? This looks really cool. It's got these containers with this sparkly powder in there that are representing the different resources. Those are awesome, awesome components, as well as sliding down this little tray here, this market tray. So when you sell a good, you take that out of the tray and reset it to the back of the pile. But when you do that, when you pull it out, all the other ones roll down, and it adjusts. The market adjusts, and it's such a good component. It's so satisfying to use that in game, and it's so helpful with the gameplay as well.
Yeah, it's crazy because it looks like so much of just a gimmick. It really does. It's like, yeah, it's just gimmicky. Especially, yeah, when we hadn't heard of it, it's like, yeah, we'll see how this. But yeah, for if you like kind of market games and want one that's on the simpler side of things, this one is amazing. And yeah, I don't hear nearly enough people talking about it, especially for the price. It's a great price. I don't think you can go wrong with this if you want to play one with your family. Maybe you really love market games, but like your family members are like, or your
Yeah,
friends even, I don't really like that kind of market style game because it can be very intimidating. That some of those for sure, but this one, I don't think it has that at all. It definitely has moments of frustration potentially when maybe changing the
yeah,
prices of things, but uh, that's just one of the fun things, I'm sure.
yeah,
So I guess it depends if you don't tend to like that kind of thing, but that's what you're going to get in those kind of games. If that's the part they don't like, I mean, you still have a little bit of that, but yeah, this one,
yeah.
great production,
Yeah,
all
at
time
the
great
price.
production for that price.
Yeah, at that price, card artwork's really great too. Very colorful. And you get a ton of money too. So if you don't even like the game, you get some awesome components for these resources that you can use in a different game, and this track here, and a ton of coins that you can use. If you're designing a game or whatever, need a prototype, just go grab those coins. It's such a good price. I don't know how. Maybe they aren't making money, but I'm like, I don't get how you make money on this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, especially with those, yeah, sand or not sand, those potion blast things. Awesome. It's a great one. Great component that I don't know that I've seen in any of our other games. I'm sure there are games with things out there, but it's a great one. So yeah, I think that was all of them, right, Pepper? That was all
That
10.
was all of them. No more surprises here.
No more surprising me. But yeah, like I said, let us know in the comments below kind of what you think is a great production for kind of under that $50-$40 range. We might have to look into it. Maybe it was one that we didn't actually include and we should have. Uh, but yeah, like I said, prices fluctuate, so we're talking about these now. It could even be a month from now, and maybe these prices are wildly different. I don't know. But we tried to look at ones that I think over the last, for most of them, 2 to 3 years,
Yeah,
you could find them in that price range at some point. Sometimes you just got to be a little patient because some of these will go on deal, or they have in the past.
yeah,
I guess it does not mean that they will again, but you know that they have hit those prices at some point. So,
yes.
anything else to say, Pepper?
Just looking forward to talking more about production. So we're making at least one more video talking about production that has no considering of cost. Just our
Ooh
favorite
boy.
ones. So stay tuned if you want to see that video.
Yes, subscribe to the channel if you liked this and want to see that video. Give us a thumbs up and leave your comments below. But otherwise, we hope to see you on those future videos. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.